Frank Skinner is here. Frank, I'm so sorry that you failed in your bid to become Pope.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, it was a half-hearted campaign. Looking back, really, it was pretty well nailed on. I knew as an insider.
But we have got our first Pope Frank.
Yeah, Francis. Well, that's the annoying thing is that I was saving that name for myself, obviously. So it's not going to happen. I qualify if you're a baptised male Catholic. You can be Pope. You don't have to be a priest or anything like that.
Is there ever been a rags to riches, well, for want of a better phrase, Pope story?
No, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure that there has been just... there was a guy called... one who went on to become Saint Clementine V, Pope Clementine V. I think he was a monk originally, but he only lasted a few weeks and he didn't like it. He was the last one to walk.
'Cause that's a Hollywood film waiting to happen, isn't it?
It was a bit like when Keegan left the England job. It was a bit like that. He'd taken the church as far as he could take it.
Well, you're here to celebrate your 4th birthday at Absolute Radio, and can I talk through the way I remember it and see if I'm right?
Please do.
So in my memory, you were down and out. You've been hit very hard by the financial crisis of 2008.
That's correct.
You were still doing your little comedy sketches on stage.
My skits.
Yeah, you'd still doing those, and you'd published this little book, but things were going badly for you, and I, out of pity, had you as a guest on the show, and I said to you, Frank, you should go on the radio, and then from there it burgeoned. Yeah, is that how you remember it?
I think you were referring to working as a minicab driver as well when you said go on the radio, but it was all misunderstood. It was pretty much like that. And things completely changed. It was that moment that you get in Hollywood films where you bump into the big producer and he says, you could be a star.
Oh, this is good for me, just to have some however faint, some kind of attachment to success.
Yeah, definitely.
Feels good to me.
You were the wind beneath my wings.
You didn't mention that in your acceptance at the Sony Awards.
No, but next time.
Having been to a lot of TV awards over the years, do the people at the Radio Awards seem stranger?
Well, I don't know. I'm so exhausted by the time it gets around to the proper awards. It is the longest, most tedious ceremony, but always with because Chris Evans presents it, there's always a sort of edge to the evening. So one can never completely relax. Yeah, it's more like being in court. But at least
he's
that keeps people away.
95% enthusisim with the odd knife in here and there.
Yeah, 5% malice.
Yeah.
Yeah, which as you say, it keeps the evening chugging along, but it makes me anxious, I must say. What is the 4th anniversary? What is that? The first one is paper.
Oh,
and is it like cobalt?
Teflon? I don't know.
I don't know if Teflon qualifies. They're all basic.
Right. But
wood. It could be wood.
Well, congratulations on wood.
Yeah, thanks.
And you're one of those rare DJs in that you get to play some music of your own choosing. Like, so, for example, I'm just going to... See, this is my excuse to blast out a bit of The Fall on weekday radio.
Okay.
So do you play a record by The Fall every week?
I did, and then as a New Year's resolution, I thought the audience have had enough. Because there was it created no enthusiastic response, only people saying, please stop. And because if you're not familiar with The Fall, it mainly sounds like a man shouting in a storm. And so in the end, I decided to let them off the hook.
Have you played any George Formby yet? Because I know you're a fan.
No, I get 2 records an hour of my own choice, but they have to be run past the head of music at Absolute. And if I really push it to the limit, I get little notes saying...
Do you really?
I'm not sure about
my impression is it's the same with you, Annabelle. Do you feel like Frank is all-powerful and he can do as he pleases?
Do what you want, yeah.
Now, that's if I'd got the Pope's job. I'm actually speaking ex-cathedra at the moment, so yes, you're right.
I've got some George Formby on my iPod, which I've just plugged in. I can show you how to plug your iPod. Would you rather Mother What Do I Do Now or In My Little Snapshot album?
Oh, In My Little Snapshot album. That's got the best solo of them all.
We probably can't go with the whole thing.
No.
Blast.
Because this is the refrain, really, you want to cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic,
years and years
It's very difficult to find George Formby on the radio these days, even in an internet age.
You can see where the Arctic Monkeys got their act from. And Oasis. It's all there.
Hey, is it true that when you do your radio show here at Absolute, they bring you pastries and croissants and so on?
No.
Oh, these rumours go around.
Yeah, I can imagine what it's like.
You want to see what it's like during.
I know we're seeing it's like Claudius or Caligula. I know but there's all sorts of talk about this, but I don't have fancy decorations right in the studio like some people do.
I think fancy is stretching it. It's pound shop chic.
I like it. It's sort of tiki.
It is tiki. It's like a tiki bar. Well, we should play something other than the Fallen Frank, George Formby, and then we'll talk some more to Frank.
Why?
Because you know what they're like downstairs. You get a note, I'd get the sack. Do you want to? You can sort of sit in the daddy chair for a while if you'd rather. Is it weird sitting on that side?
That wouldn't be right. And also, I don't know if I'd be comfortable on that chrysanthemum throne.
Annabelle, any tenuous connections to Frank that you could share with him?
Yes, this is from Gary in Doncaster. He says, I went to watch Black Sabbath in Birmingham a few years back. Whilst waiting in the car park after the gig, Frank walked past my car looking very puzzled. I guess he'd forgotten where he'd parked.
Is that what had happened?
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you what did happen that night. I drove back to London after that gig, and I went into my flat, and I walked through the hallway, went in, made a cup of tea, walked back through the hallway, and I thought, something different, isn't there? And my manager had bought me an upright piano and put an enormous bow on it as a present, and I'd walked past it twice. And that just goes to show what Black Sabbath can do to a man's orientation.
You're very trusting letting a manager have keys to your flat as well.
Well, no, I think he'd got them from my personal assistant. There was some skullduggery, but it was good intentions.
What else have we got on the go today? Where can you never show your face again?
Where can I never show my face again? Capital Radio, probably, having criticised them heavily on the radio. In fact, all other stations. I've completely nailed my colours to the mast as far as Absolute.
You painted yourself into a corner you can't actually leave now.
Yeah, in purple paint as well, of course.
Of course.
But it's, I do, if you listen to other radio stations, they tend to be, certainly the other commercial ones, they're appalling. Their playlists are unbearable. You might sometimes play something on here and think, but honestly, if you was on Smooth FM, so we should thank our lucky stars. Definitely
count our
blessings. I like even better.
Where did you find Emily from? Who's on the show with you?
Well, I've known Emily for a long time, and when Absolute said, "Do you want to do a show?" and I said, "Can I have people with me?" She was my first phone call, even though she'd never done any radio. I just knew she'd be brilliant. And
she did the show on her own the other week. She did a very good job of it.
She hosted it. I thought she did slightly too good. You know when someone sits in for you and you want them to do well, but you don't want them... Yes. I should have taken the Christian O'Connell approach. You put Andy Bush and you give him nothing. You give him no chance. And that's the way to play it. But, of course, she was fantastic, yeah.
And has the power gone to her head at all?
Well, it's funny you should say that, but I've picked up on a couple of things. I was very praising. I mean, we got emails that said, this is the best this show's ever been. Someone used the phrase "the dream team." This was a week I wasn't on, so it was. But she was. I listened to it, and she was properly good. And there's something. I think there should be more females leading the posse on this
Definitely,
station.
I've asked you to on a number of occasions, but you've declined, Annabelle.
Yeah, I don't want to lead you. That'd be weird. It'd be like being mum to my mum.
But when Geoff... do you have holidays, Geoff? I can't remember.
Yeah.
You go away at the same time? Yeah. That's a bit suspicious. You're the sort of people that come in slightly staggered arrival in the office in the morning, so no one gets suspicious.
The listeners enjoy the Ross Rachel thing we've got going on.
I see.
Will they, won't they?
No, I'd like to hear Annabelle at the helm.
Well, you do a show on the 70s station.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't try and palm her off. One of the dabs.
Hey, you've got your...
Bits and dabs, that's what we call that.
You've got your son Buzz with you today, do you often bring him into the radio show?
I brought him... I don't bring him in on Saturday mornings, but he comes... It's a very handy... Because it's quite central, Absolute. If he needs feeding or something, then it's a handy... Or changing.
It is.
I'll bring him... I basically use it as a changing...
Are you like the rest of us, you'll be doing your show and think, I've got no toilet paper at home, got no milk. Oh, hang on a minute, there's an infinite supply here.
Well, I don't actually get the boss in deliberately, but if I like it. It's something lovely and communal about it, because I've never worked in an office for a very long time.
Yeah, it must be nice having a place to go.
So, yeah, you can pop in, you can sit on people's desks and chat to them.
Yeah, although there is, office-appropriate behaviour, which probably wasn't around the last time you worked in a communal workplace.
Oh, God, no, it was, there was none of that. HR hadn't been invented.
Did you have your phone hacked?
No, to my disgrace, I didn't. I mean, it was the ultimate test about who's a celebrity and who isn't. So when you think I didn't and Diamond did, that was a pretty stern call to my management. I can tell you what's going on.
Because it's been back in the news again today, and I was wondering if a man in your position, because as you've wrote and spoken about quite candidly, you took a hit in the financial crisis.
I did.
I mean, that could be a real boon.
That might be why I didn't get hacked, because I had to just use a landline. The mobile was one of the things that went. Yeah, that was as close as I've been to difficulty for about 20-odd years.
But here you are now. You're back on top, Frank. Look at you now.
I don't know about on
top.
There
are second acts.
I don't know. I'm hanging from an eave. Is what I'm doing. But it's all lovely.
And you've got plenty of stuff going on. The Telly Room 101 is back on, and that's very
coming
well.
back. And I don't feel any obligation to plug. It's all fine.
I'm just trying to leave you with a good feeling. Everything's going well in my life. I sat in this room 4 years ago, and I was at a low ebb, and look at me now.
I think of things like, I remember when I was with David Baddiel when Germany were absolutely trouncing us in the last World Cup, and I leaned across after the fourth goal and said, we've got some soft mints in the van. That's the way to look at it.
Oh, you'll always be happy.
Exactly.
If not a little simple. Well, Frank, thanks for coming. And will you stay? I don't mean will you stay now, because I know you've got a buzz outside, but will you stay here at Absolute Radio?
Yeah, why wouldn't I? Have you heard anything I don't know? I have a feeling that I might stay, but the station might disappear from around me, like someone dismantling a flat pack.
Well, happy 4th radio birthday.
Thank you. We haven't established what it is.